All right. Welcome to the show, Rifters. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Uh, we're doing pretty good. We're getting a little more reviews. We could use more. So if you like this show, just take a moment, subscribe, rate, review on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. I'd like to get to 1,000 reviews. That's what I want. 1,000 reviews, and we're only at 113. So we could do it by the end of 2030. That's the goal. Anyways, I'm very excited. My guest is an actor and he's now an author. He has a book that's coming out, I believe, on February 2nd. I'm sure he'll confirm that, but it's called Dust. My next guest from iCarly, Criminal Minds, the movie Ride. He did a romantic comedy called Tangled. Josh Plasse will be here via Zoom on Reza Riffs. So, guys, subscribe, rate, review, and if you're a fan of Josh Plasse, thank you for coming and checking this out and support us. And to my Rifters, support Josh and buy his book. It's called Dust, and it will be coming out in February. So enjoy the show of Reza Riffs with Josh Plasse coming up next.
From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Riffs with your host, Keith Reza.
Hey, Josh.
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Let me rename myself here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hi, Pin Bay Productions. How are you, man?
Good, brother. Thank you, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, thank you so much for doing it. When I first got pitched for you, I was like, sure, because I love, like, I don't like saying no to people because I've been rejected by people. You know what I mean? So, like, it's kind of like I always say yes, and I know you from a Charles Manson movie, so like I'm a big fan of yours, and because like Frank Grillo was in it, right? So I told my sisters I'm having you on. And my sisters are like, Keith, because that's my name. They were like, Keith, don't fuck up this interview. I was like, why? Uh, and they're like, because we like him. He was on iCarly, and like they're doing all this stuff, and they're like getting in my head. They're like, he's big deal. I was like, oh, yeah. So like,
I wish.
so like I'm so like nervous now, and they're like, and then after the interview, ask if he's single, and I was like, oh, I think he's married. You know what I mean? So like I'm getting like in my head. I was like, oh, I can't let my family down. You know what I mean? So hi, Josh.
Good to be on, man. Good to be on. I love that. Well, solid intro. I appreciate all that very much.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing my ring, but I am married. Well said.
Yeah. Well, because I don't want my sisters to get married to my guests. You know what I mean? Because then what's the point of our relationship? You know what I mean?
Right. It destroys it.
It destroys it. Yeah, so you have a new book, and we'll get to the movies and stuff too, but I think we should talk about the book first because I tend to forget sometimes about the main thing we got to promote, right?
Love it.
Yeah. But before we start, I was going to put you like, do you want me to interview with the blue string glasses or without it? Because I feel like you're talking to Jeffrey Dahmer right now, which is not the look I want.
Dude, whatever's best for you. It doesn't bother me either way.
Oh, yeah. Because I could damage my eyes for you if you want. It's fine.
No, man, you're good. I appreciate it.
Okay. So we got Dust coming out, and I believe it's on February 2nd, but I could be wrong. Is that the day it's coming out, or?
Yes, February 4th now. There was a second date, but February 4th.
Okay, that's perfect. February 4th is coming out, and this is your first actual like novel book. You know what I mean? And and novels is totally different from scripts and stuff. So I wanted the folks at home are probably asking like, how do you translate into doing that?
Great question. Yeah, definitely, man. Very different. So After I moved from Virginia to LA, I studied screenwriting in college, but I've always been a huge literature buff. I like to allocate about 45 minutes to an hour every morning for reading. So
Yeah.
I guess I say that to say I've always had an affinity for literature in general, some of the more classic stuff, and really, really books of all kinds, but specifically, I'm a huge fantasy nerd. I love fantasy, sci-fi, really anything in that genre. So I've been reading that for a very long time. And believe it or not, I've actually been working on this book for about 10 years.
Holy
Now,
Lord.
yeah, it's been in the background a bit. It hasn't obviously been the forefront of what I've been focusing on clearly from my career. But just every day, hacking at it a little bit every single day and building it. I wrote comics as a kid that all kind of inspired and sort of culminated in what this book is now. So the quick answer is I've been reading my whole life. I've always loved literature. And, in screenwriting, it's the exact opposite. It's like you want as much white on the page as you could possibly have. Less is more, and the prose of screenwriting is, as terse as it can be. Whereas with literature, you have the sort of
More is more.
exactly. You can just play around. Yeah, God willing, you're reading a Patrick Rothfuss novel or something. It's 1,000 pages. You can spend as much time as you want, and I love those books, by the way. That's no shade.
Yeah.
But you just have time to play. So I guess the short answer is I've always loved it. I got good at screenwriting, and because I understood the format for that, I actually took that same format and just brought it in to my literature. I mean, I literally stole, Save the Cat is like the most famous screenwriting book. I stole what they basically put out, which is just a beat board, and instead of scenes, I just made it chapters. And because I got good at being terse in screenwriting, I was able to make my chapters flow very quickly with literature, which the publisher liked, getting an agent, the agent liked, and that was attractive to them because our audiences today, they don't want to read
Yeah.
10,000. So yeah, hopefully that answers it.
You mentioned Save the Cat, which no shade, that is a great book, but I like screenwriting for dummies because I'm a dummy.
Fair.
So like,
Also a good one. I
so
love
like
it.
I think that's the one I learned from because it's like pretty, hey, I think dummy is like such a nice word of, because imagine if it was called what they're really thinking, screenwriting for morons. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
screenwriting that probably exists. That book is probably out there. Screenwriting for morons, or just writing for morons. We should do a Google search on that.
Yeah, we
It's
should.
out there.
But no, like I've been writing a book too for 10 years, and you've done way more than me because I only have the title page.
Yeah, you've got the start. You've got the start knocked out.
Yeah, it's called how to annoy your way to the top. You know what I
Love
mean?
it. Love
That's all,
it.
that's all I got. Beg people to do my podcast, I guess. But tell us what Dust is about because I don't really know what it's about. They didn't tell me, so like I wanted to know like
I see. I see.
yeah.
Man, I guess the quickest version is it's ultimately about three siblings in the fallout of their parents' assassination. So it's fantasy by nature, obviously, like medieval time, but obviously it doesn't take place in our world, so it's a different world.
Right.
And ultimately, there's do you like Game of Thrones? Are you Game
I
of Thrones?
love Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I like the sex scenes.
The sex. There's less of that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's some. It's not a Sarah J. Maas book or anything, but there's some. We got a little steam.
I like the dragons. I don't know. Maybe I should have said that first. I don't know.
No, that's fair. That's fair. No dragons yet, but kind of dragons. I'll leave that for when you read it. You get towards the end of the book. There's my version of dragons, which personally I think are way cooler. Dragons are overplayed, but whatever.
Yeah. So it's like Game of Thrones kind of, and then time travel type stuff.
Yeah, it's about exactly. It's like Game of Thrones in the sense that the three siblings, after their parents are murdered, they sort of vie for the throne, which is why it's like Game of Thrones. The time travel element is why the book is called Dust. So I'm going to nerd out on you for a second, but it's called Dust because the source of magic from the world is found in the dust of these comets that were like what started the dawn of time. These comets come down, create their version of Pangea. The book starts 2,000 years later, and mankind, if you will, has been warped into all different kinds of beings from the dust of these comets. So the time travel element is like if you actually find this dust, you can gain one of 7 powers. One of those is time travel.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this, dude. It's pretty well mapped out, if you can't tell.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. That kind of sounds like the guy who invented cocaine. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. It's exactly like that. Only you spend less time super high.
No, no, yeah, but no, that sounds cool. Now, are you? Is this going to be like a trilogy, or is this a one book fit all?
As long as it is successful as I hope it will be, it is the first installment of a trilogy. That's the hope.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be great. So
I hope
it's
so.
going to take you 10 years to write the sequel, or maybe it'll be faster. Because now you
Dude,
got.
I am promising myself to never be that guy. I hate that. I mean, I get it with some folks because they're, when you have 20 million people reading your books, you want it to be perfect and you take your time. But 10 years, I can't stand that. I'm not going to let more than 1 or 2 years go by each time. That's a
Oh,
problem.
that's awesome. Do you have plans of doing like an audio book?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, so you're
absolutely.
gonna like go in the audio and do the voices, right?
I won't because
Oh,
I know, dude. So the thing is, I consider myself a talented actor. I'm not a super talented voice actor. I can do some things, but not a lot. My talent and where I consider myself good, humbly, I suppose, is more in embracing and bringing out myself within roles and not
yeah.
necessarily like I'm no Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey can just become something in a minute, where you're just like, wow, you are somebody else. I can bring elements of myself into parts in a way that most people can't. It's the best acting in the world is what we're doing right now. If you can do this on camera, you're incredible. This is just living. We're not
Oh
acting.
yeah, definitely.
We're just being, right? Like that's what I'm very good at. It's been more of a new school of acting. Whereas on the theater, you're yada yada. That's not me, man. I love theater, but that's not me. That's what audio recording is. So I'm gonna hire some guys who are much more talented than myself. We'll put it that way.
Oh man. Well, because I do stand up comedy, like that's my expertise, I guess. And so like I've always wanted to do the acting, but once I started doing comedy more, I kind of fell out of love with acting. But I get all these like offers to read books for the audio book, and I always say no, not because I can't do it, but like I have a form of autism called Asperger's syndrome. So like I do still kind of have a stutter sometimes because like I've gone to speech therapy and stuff, and like big words and stuff, like it gives me like a hard time, and I don't want to fuck up the book for them.
Yeah.
And then they might think like I'm just doing it to be funny, but like I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? But I get so many offers to do that. So I guess what I'm saying is I can't do it for you.
Fair, fair. Yeah, I'll take you off the list.
Just cross me off, even though I need money. But like but
Uh,
uh, but no. So that's cool. It took you 10 years, and I have one more question about writing a book. Is like when because in a book, there's like we said before, more is more, and you could add more. Uh,
yes.
do you like pinpoint like ideas and like do you do like a spider web on how to connect all of them, or like how does your mind like do that?
That's a great question. Yeah, definitely. I have huge whiteboards in my office, like 6 by 10 feet. And then I have a cork board and I color code the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I nerd out on it. I get pretty serious on it. Like the color coordination is character specific. So just remembering where certain arcs or thematics have to, as you just said, like intersect with each other. If this occurs in chapter 3 and you need to leak something that's important for chapter 9, I'll put a certain color strip on that and be like, okay, this is here, remember this. Then you can kind of realize along the story where things are intersecting. So that's how I keep track of it. I like everything to be visual. Some people like it all on their computer or just like on their notepad. I personally like to see everything on like a more broad scale. That's how I do it.
Yeah, I like to do that too. So like whenever I have a lady or a gentleman come over, they think I'm like nuts. You know what I mean? They're like, "Why do you have all these words written on your wall?" And I'm like, "Oh, I can't tell them I'm an actor or a writer. I say I'm in a
That's,
cult." You know what I mean?
I'm in a cult. Yeah, yeah. That's much better. Much
Yeah.
better.
Well, speaking of cults, we should move on to the Charles Manson movie, which I know you from. So like you kind of helped wrote that too. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So that one's a long story, man. So that was originally titled Yucca Valley. It had nothing to do with Charles Manson. This is a long, long story, but the short version of it is we wrote that based on something that happened to me. I didn't like write the original screenplay. It's kind of a long story, but my wife and I went to the Yucca Valley Desert, and it was pretty crazy actually. I'll make the story short, but we went out there and we got this Airbnb way, way, way far in the middle of the desert, like 26 miles away from the closest house, at least that we were aware of. And some people love that, some people don't. We go out there for a couple days. Very long story short, since you've seen the film, you'll kind of see what some of this is from. We start seeing these circles in the sand randomly, to the point where a day passes by. I go outside and there's a new one, and I'm like, this is weird.
And trippy, yeah.
And trippy. And so we start Googling it and looking it up. There's no animals that make perfect circles. They just don't exist. There's something in the desert. There's like a certain snake that like does go in circles, but what we saw was not right. Like it was clear that this had been etched as a darn near perfect circle, and more of them are popping up over time. So I'm like, all right, obviously something is happening here, something nefarious and weird, and either I'm tripping or like someone's out here. And I'm a military brat. My dad was a SEAL. When I go places like that, I'm not playing around. I'm packing. So I wasn't like super scared, but it's scary. And so we're out there, just us. And I'm like, I've seen too many horror movies. This is so we're like, all right,
this is not good.
Not good. And very long story short, we're like, you know what? We're gonna chill for the day. We'll go through the night, see what happens. We go through the first night, all good, no harm, no foul. Early that morning, we wake up. I go outside, and there's way more circles. And I'm like,
oh my
nope.
God.
Yeah, dude, it's totally true story. I'm like, nope, we're out. And we see the gate of the backyard is open.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh. And it leads up a path onto this mountain behind us, also kind of from the film. And on the top of that mountain, we see two people up there with a dog. And I have my dog with me too, but they had like this big pit bull. I was like, I don't want either of these dogs coming in contact or any of this, right? Long story short, I was like, all right, well, we either just leave or I go up there and we see what's up. And so one thing led to another. We're like packing to leave because it was just kind of a weird vibe in general. And I go up there, and they're not that far. It's not like a mountain. I should know it's like a hill.
Right.
And just go confront them. And I was like, hey, why'd y'all go through the back of the thing? Like we're at an Airbnb and not cool. And confront them face to face, and they were super nice. They're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. Didn't realize. Like, we just wanted the dog to get up here. We were just driving by. I was like, it's just weird. They're super nice people. We're also at an Airbnb like 10 miles down. We're just out seeing the desert. And I was like, all right. So end of the story. I let it go. We're like, all right, maybe that's what it is. They don't know anything about the circles. I go back, and we're getting ready to leave, and we're there that night, and I get an audition.
Oh my gosh.
The audition, my agent sent to me. He's like, hey man, this is due Monday. Can you turn this around for me? I'm like, all right. And the audition is about a horror movie in the desert. And I was like, all right, this is weird, dude.
That's a sign.
It's a sign, bro.
You're gonna get this.
Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna get this. So I'm like, you know what? Like, let's just chill. Let me get off book. Let me start working on this. My wife and I go. I still have a video on my phone. I'll share it one day. And we go out, and I'm like, let's shoot it. Let's put it on tape. I'll just rip it, somewhat improv this, right? Like I didn't care about it that much. It was a good movie, but it wasn't like that cool. So we set it up and we shoot it. If you can imagine, we're on the porch of this place, and because it takes place in the desert, I was like, this is perfect. We're gonna shoot down the desert. So we shoot down the desert. Right. In the background, dude. Kid you not, on God, true story. No one around us for 26 miles. We're filming. I still have this video proof. I'm playing the guitar in the scene, and cars start driving in the background down the sand road about a mile from us, bro. Not even a half mile. No one in this desert. There's one road in, one road out. And we're like, what is going on? And they pass the house, again, a solid mile out, go down this hill and just disappear.
Oh my gosh.
We just got in the car and left. It was like, no, we're out. Just got in the car.
They were probably driving to their death.
Dude, or they were the people bringing death. I don't know. So I say all that to say that was what the film was actually about, the Manson film. We took that experience and made it into a film, and then that got changed. It was supposed to be a film. The character gets her audition, right? You remember that. And she goes to do the audition, and then she tries to kill the boyfriend and all the thing. That was all rooted in reality. And then a bunch of creative heads got involved, and a whole bunch of things happened, and we don't need to get into that. But ultimately, it became about Charles Manson and what it was. So that wasn't actually what the impetus of the film was.
Yeah. Man, that's a crazy story, man.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I wish I had a cool story like that. I don't have a scary story like that.
Dude, go to Yucca Valley. Go stay
Yeah.
out a cabin somewhere.
I will tell you, I once like hit a coyote with my car,
Oh
and
boy.
I knew it was a coyote because I got out and a roadrunner came up to me and said thanks.
He's like, thanks, bud.
But that's all I got.
I'm
But
starting to see the comedy chops.
oh,
Nice.
I think it. But no, like but Charles Manson, man, he was also like a very, I don't want to like compliment him, but in a way he was kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Cuz like he had that mind power type thing, you know?
Totally. I think the mythos around him has
Yeah.
become interesting. I bet if we met him face to face, he would be less interesting. But
Right. Yeah.
but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, man. I mean, it's the power of someone who's extremely manipulative and meeting the effect of drugs. Bam, it's a recipe for disaster.
Huh.
So yeah, we ended up learning a lot about him for better and worse on that film. Once it became that and the title changed and it became more that type of a thing, obviously we had to dig into his history and it was pretty wiggy, man.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that's interesting about because like you and I, we're celebrities. You know what I mean? I don't get a lot of fan mail. You probably get hundreds from my sisters, but Charles Manson got like 10,000 letters a day or
Yeah.
something, and I'm just like, that's just what?
Weird, dude. It's weird. People loved him. He had a cult following. And we live in a weird world, my friend.
Yeah, we need to be in a cult following and help
That's
these.
how you get.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how you get the love. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we'll be like, go read Dust, and
Go
then
read us. Just manipulate people to the pre-orders.
yeah.
uh,
But another thing that's very interesting about you, because I did some research, you started with doing short films, and like that kind of like gave you creativity into making a feature film. So I wanted to know, like, what was that adventure like to you? Because they're two different things. A short film is like
totally.
15, 20 minutes, if that, maybe
Yep.
maybe 10, 12 pages, and feature films 90 to 120, you know?
Yep. For sure. Yeah, man. Good question. We did start there. So I have a business partner named Brev, and he and I made this Western called Calico Queens, which was our first short film do you know who Danny Trejo is?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know him personally, but he's in every movie I see
Yeah,
about.
yeah. He's in every movie. Yeah. I love it. The guy works, dude. Hats
Yeah.
off. The guy works. But he's actually a very good man. And we made our first short film and hired him for it because we were trying to get some notoriety and make it get into a festival. And you attach a decent name, it helps your festival opportunity chances. So yada yada. And we just had so much fun with it, dude. Like we ended up raising a little bit of money for it and crowdfunding. And you don't have an ROI on short films. Like no one's going to purchase a short film. There's a couple of companies that acquire these, but the buys are $1,000, $2,000 something. You're not gonna make any money on it.
Right.
Usually they're proof of concepts for a real movie.
What
So
you could do, yeah.
exactly. So we did that as we had aspirations to make a real Western from that. But ultimately, we raised some money, we crowdfunded it, and dude, we just caught the bug. Like it's not like it's the best short film in the world, but it did pretty good. Got into a ton of festivals. Danny Trejo was great in it. We really enjoyed it. And more importantly, it set the foundation for some of the investors we work with now and some of the producers we work with now to be like, okay, these guys made this out of nothing in like 5 days. They obviously have some talent and grit. And we used that to answer your question as kind of a springboard to jump into features. And really, it's obviously a narrative feature film is much, much, much harder and more complex on so many levels than a short
Yeah.
film. But doing a short film is no joke, man. Like if you prepare it well, and that film in particular, we shot it on the Paramount Ranch before it burned down, and we had, I want to say, there were scenes where we had almost 60 extras. So it was like,
Whoa.
yeah, dude, it was like a legit short film. I mean, we spent actually more money than we should have, but we spent real money on it, and it was a legit short film. I think I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure there's a couple thousand shots in it. Like we did it for a solid 4 or 5 days and really took it seriously. And so I say all that to say you learn a lot. The guy who directed it was a good filmmaker, and yeah, man, we just used that as a springboard to move on to the next.
Now, at what point did you realize that the 60 extras were also following you to that Airbnb?
Yeah, to the Airbnb, yeah. Just jump forward 5 years later, they've been there.
But no, that's cool. I mean, I'm assuming you get free Danny Trejo tacos for the rest of your life for
Yeah,
doing that.
Danny Trejo. I wish, dude. I wish. Those are freaking unbelievable. I do have a Danny Trejo coffee shop mug over here, positioned in my coffee cabinet.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
dude, he's a cool guy, man. He was a cool guy. He showed up, bro. I think it was like 104 degrees that day. Never complained. He was in like cowboy western clothes on a horse, and like he's an older guy. He talked with people. He wasn't too cool for school, and it's a short film. Like he did it, yeah, he got paid, but not much. He mainly just did it because he's cool and he wanted to work and was like a good guy. So I got
Yeah.
nothing but good things to say about that man.
My uncle did a movie with him in Texas. It was like an independent, you probably never heard of it type of movie. And he said that Danny was the coolest guy. And he said, yeah, he gave me this card that said free Trejo tacos for life.
Oh,
And
I
then
love it.
and then my uncle was like, so I'm driving around Texas looking for this fucking restaurant. And
There's none there.
there's none there.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Yeah, dude, he didn't even have Trejo's tacos when we
Oh
went.
my God, you got screwed, Josh.
We got screwed. It was like 3 years later he made Trejo's tacos. Yeah, I missed my mark, man.
You got to write a short sequel to this and say,
Yeah, get him back in just for
uh,
the tacos. That's the
uh,
selling point to the investors. We'll make our money back on tacos.
yeah. So like I feel like COVID kind of screwed you up in a way because you're raising your star, then COVID happened, and then you had to pivot and make your own things. You know what I mean? So like I wanted to ask, am I wrong on that, and if I'm right, how did you pivot to that? Because you're so successful now.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Sincerely. Yeah, no, you're spot on. I mean, it's hard. The short answer is yes, but I don't want to sound like a crybaby. It happened to everybody,
Right.
but there's a lot of us. But yes, I definitely was a part of like a small group of people who were starting to really hit some things. But that's a lot of people in the industry, and I'm just trying to rebound. We all are now. Dude, yeah, like we were definitely, I was testing all the time. We were in a really good place, and the industry is truly about momentum. So you start picking up stuff, and that's happening again now, which is great. But it stole a lot of time from a lot of people, man, myself included. I mean, that's a selfish way to look at it from a life standpoint when it was such a broad and terrible thing for the world. But what people forget is that it was followed by an actor strike.
Right.
The actor strike was followed by IATSE fallout and all these other things. And then, you kind of finally were getting to the outside of that. And now we have these unbelievably bad fires. It's like there's just one thing after another for
Oh
people.
my
So,
God, are you safe from the flood? I totally forgot. Are you
oh,
like, I mean, I don't mean that in a mean way, but like, are you
no.
okay? Oh,
Yes. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I actually am in Nashville right now.
oh,
Uh,
nice, nice.
yeah, man. Yeah. Where are you based?
I'm based in Huntington Beach, way away from the fires, but I know people have been affected. You know what I mean? And it's kind of
Horrible.
affected the stand-up work and the podcast work. But like it's
Yeah.
one of those things where like my heart goes out to people, but it's not affecting me personally. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
yeah, and
Absolutely, dude.
uh,
Absolutely.
I
It's a
don't
lot
mean
of
to sound like, oh, maybe it's the no filterness of my spectrum, but like,
Oh no, I get it, dude. I totally get it. I totally get it. And that, yeah, I had a lot of buddies lose homes or lose this, that, and the other, and so it sucks. But I guess it's for a lot of people. Obviously, I did not lose my home, but for a lot of people, it's just like, man, we go through multiple years of COVID, which destroys so many aspects of the business, especially for people who are on the up. Now you've just got to wait. And a lot of that is really tough for people because you lose some of your prime years. And
right.
then you get actor strike, which, yeah, it only lasted I think 8, 9 months. It's a long time, by the way. But that on the coattails of COVID, on the coattails of that, we get a fire on the coattails of the emergence of streamers and streamers destroying the generic model. Like it's just the business is in total disarray. So it really was a
It's
bad time.
it's like a snake robot because as much as a terrible tragedy this fire was, something else is going to come and click to it. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that's the scary thing about life, where like you're not safe no matter where you are or whoever you voted for or whatever. It's just
Yep.
all you could do is just take it one day at a time and try
Yep.
and be the best person you are that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure, brother. I do. No, I like that outlook. It's true. It's all you can do, man. So yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. I am good. That's the short answer. But I guess I say all that to say, to answer your question, it's like ultimately when so many variables are out of your control, I kind of just saw and decided with friends of mine an opportunity to, hey, okay, this is all happening. What elements can we control? And the short
Right.
answer is, well, let's if let's keep acting, let's keep doing what's paying the bills and what our passions are. But if we can't control that right now and there's literally no opportunity for jobs, let's go build our company. So that sort of pivoted us into building Pine Bay Pictures and making Ride, our rodeo film. We've got 2 more films in the pipeline. Obviously, the Manson movie was the company before that. So yeah, it was just a pivot out of the hardships, I guess.
Now you mentioned Ride, like we should talk about Ride for a while because that was like a great movie. But like I
Right.
got the sense that like in the like it got added on, like pages got added on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I was like, I guess what like I got a sense it was made for like maybe a pilot or a short or something, and then it just got like more added on. Is that kind of
Yeah.
correct or?
Yeah, for sure. No, you heard that right. It was a pilot originally,
Uh-huh.
and ultimately a woman acquired it from a company in Georgia. Sorry, this is my boy here. This is my dog. He's crying to go outside. Teddy, say
Oh,
hi.
no worries. All right, we'll be back after we take the dog out, folks.
He's crying to go see his buddy. My husky's out there somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, man. No, it was acquired as a pilot. And then the woman who bought it had a really cool model where she made pilots and she backed up her investment by asking the writers and filmmakers to write an additional 30 pages to make the
mhm.
pilot TV movie. So then her plan was to shoot the pilots and shoot 10 pilots. If one of them goes, then at least the other 9 that don't go would have a backup writing to go and shoot and make into a TV movie, so she could at least like make a little bit of money back.
That's pretty smart.
I actually thought it was brilliant, totally.
Yeah.
I know, and it's it wouldn't make for the best films in the world, but you would hedge your bets and at least secure a part of your investment to make more pilots for her, and the pilot or 2 that does go would be successful. So I thought it was really cool. And all that to say, we optioned it to her, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so it's
Wow.
like, oh God. And she actually, I have to check in, but I'm fairly sure she, COVID took her down and her business model down, and pretty much everybody, obviously. So
Well, you
we,
pitched Dust and you said you want a glorious comeback?
yeah. This is it. That's funny, dude. Oh man, yeah. So that was that. And then to answer the question, we got the rights back, and Jake and I were like, you know what? I actually like these additional pages we wrote. We're passionate about this project. The pilot's really strong. Let's just kind of rework things a little bit so we're not forcing it. You never want to force a triangle into a circle, if you will. But we were like, let's make this, and then we just went out and made it on our own, man.
Uh, I liked Ride because it had C. Thomas Howell in it, and I haven't seen that guy since The Outsiders. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, "Holy
totally.
Lord!" And it's so weird because I met him at a Comic Con because, like, not to brag, but I'm friends with Christy Swanson. So like,
Uh,
I was hanging out with Christy, and his booth was right there, and he didn't know who I was. And I was just like, oh man, like I mean, I don't like to badmouth people, but it was very awkward for 8 hours just being right there. You know what I mean?
yes, yeah. 8 hours at an event for sure, for sure.
Yeah. But like how cool is that? Like because like Outsiders was like a movie that you and I that was
Yeah.
our jam, you know what I mean?
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah. Tommy's cool. He was a really good guy and great actor. He was easy to work with. Nothing but good things to say about him, man. So yeah, he's awesome. It was good.
Yeah.
Good.
I wanted to ask you, like, when you do a movie that you've written, some I know that a lot of cuts and stuff get happen. Like, as a writer, does that kind of piss you off? But as the actor side of you, kind of understand, or like, how does your mind like switch
Yep.
with that?
Totally, man. I thankfully I know both sides now, so I just let it go, man. It's like at a certain point, whoever's directing or whoever's producing, one of them is going to have final cut. It's not 9 times out of 10, in my experience, the director has final cut, and
Right.
that's because you trust him and you hired him or her for a reason. So if that's the case, as a writer, you just gotta trust. If they cut it because it was the right thing, and it's going to make your script look even better if the movie's better, and most of the time it does. So I'm always pretty happy about it.
Uh, well, Josh, I want to respect your time, but I have three more questions. Can I ask these real fast?
You can ask as much as you want, man. As long as
Oh, okay, okay. Then
you
I'm gonna milk
this
your
guy.
alarm then.
I love it. Milk it quick. As long as you don't mind me letting this guy
No, no. We'll take a break. Gotta get the dogs back in.
in. Fire away, man. What are the three questions?
So I feel I need to ask this out of respect to my sisters, but iCarly, they loved you on that. I gotta say, I love you as a person. Not my jam. Don't know anything about that, but like, how is that show for you? And like, I don't know who iCarly is, but how is that? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
dude, best is the best.
Catherine and Stephanie wanted to know.
Tell Catherine and Stephanie it was amazing, and Miranda Cosgrove is Carly to answer that question, and she is like the biggest sweetheart in the world, just such a good, warm person, super welcoming. I was there for a good bit of the first season and a little bit of the second season, and dude, like couldn't have been more welcomed, especially as someone who's not a series regular, meaning like you're not in every episode. They just treated me amazingly. They were all so nice, and yeah, it was fun, man. It was comedy. It was fun. I love doing comedy.
Comedy's the best. Yeah.
It's the best, dude. It was awesome. So short answer is 10 out of 10 on everything iCarly. I love them. They helped me a lot. And that show actually helped my career a lot. That helped me get a lot of bigger things. So yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So like the thing I like about comedy compared to drama, I'm not like disrespecting drama, but I feel
Yeah.
comedy is a lot harder than drama because if you think about it from this point of view, and we talked about it a little earlier, everyone has suffered from drama, from some form of drama, death, losing stuff, blah, blah, blah. List
Right.
goes on. A lot of people haven't really suffered from comedy
That's
because
true.
they probably don't know their life is in a form of comedy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. For
So
sure. For
I find comedy is very hard, and I respect anyone who does a comedy movie or comedy in some form because it really is the hardest and it's the most unappreciated form of art.
I definitely agree. Of course, there are exceptions where some dramatic roles are just so unbelievably deep that it's just undeniable. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, a lot of actors will agree that comedy is harder. Multi-camera comedy is very hard. It's like I said earlier, it's kind of more of a it's more, I don't want to call it premeditated, but it's like you definitely are calculating where your beats are. If you've ever read a multi-camera comedy, it's like the script is different. You've obviously got the double spaces and like there's just more room to breathe, but also you got to be fast to your punch. It's hard. It's more sort of planned. There's a lot less spontaneity in the moment because like if you've got a triplet or you've got to cut someone off or you've got to do something that's like funny in that moment, you kind of have to do that. You have to tee the
Right.
up for a joke. Whereas again, if we're in drama, sometimes these magical moments come out of the fact that we're just existing as characters and we say something off the script based on something you've done. In comedy, you can't really do that. So some of the best, I mean, you can, of course, I'm talking sitcoms specifically right now. Comedy movies. This dog on this interview. Comedy movies like
Take the dog. I got good. Yeah.
he barks again. I will.
Uh,
Comedy movies like a Vince Vaughn, some of these old stuff, a Will Ferrell movie, like they're gonna just have fun and improv all day, you know. But yeah, man, I think comedy is really hard, and it's funny you say that. I want to make sure I don't butcher the line, but one of my favorite comedies in all of cinema is from the favorite lines in all of cinema is from the first Joker with Todd Phillips, where the Joker. If you haven't seen it, I won't give spoilers, but he's at a pivotal moment in the film, and he says, all this time I thought my life was a drama, was a tragedy.
yeah.
Now I realize it's been a comedy. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, I was like, oh man,
That was
that's where
intense.
it's intense, man. And yeah, I think it is harder in ways. So I agree.
Yeah. I remember when Joker came out, like that was the movie that it was so weird because I was like, I feel like when Batman movies come out, like people get crazy at a movie theater and like, start doing terrible stuff. And that movie, because I live right by a movie theater, we made that movie theater made the news because there was a situation there. And I was like, holy Lord.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I
That was
was,
terrible, man. Uh,
yeah.
there's a lot of arguments for that, and a lot of solid arguments that sometimes movies like that put, and promote the wrong values into the world. It's like I love both of those films. I think the first Joker is brilliant, but I understand the
Did you
argument.
did you see the second one?
Dude, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to be a jerk. I just heard such bad reviews that I'm going to let, and from people that I respect, then it may be brilliant, but I'm going to let the first Joker be how I remember Joker.
Yeah, I agree because I feel back to what we were saying when you put like, music into something like that, it kind of ruins the vibe of how it was supposed to be. Does that
Yes,
make sense?
it
I don't
does.
know. It's
No,
kind of like Wicked and Wizard of Oz. Like no disrespect to Wicked, but you killed a classic with Wizard of Oz,
Wizard of Oz.
you know. And my
Yeah.
sisters are big Wicked fans, so like and then they're like, "Oh, that guy's gonna be the Scarecrow." I was like, "Well, what?" You know,
I
makes
know
no sense whatsoever. You know, but
for sure, for sure.
But I wanted to ask you about Tangled, because that's a romantic comedy, and I feel romantic comedies are the best form of comedy because, like I
Great.
said before, it's real. You could match everyone is capable of love and stuff. So I feel like that's why I really like romantic comedies, and that was like your first one where you're the lead. You know what I mean? So I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, how did you get into that? And then
Okay.
hanging
Yeah.
out with Catherine Hughes is a plus. You know?
No, she's the best, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's awesome. I still keep in touch with her. Obviously she was in the Manson film after that.
that's
And
right. She was. Yeah,
yeah, dude, she's awesome. She's an incredible actor. She's a great human being. So all good things to say about her. And it was a fun experience, man. We shot that in Atlanta for a long time, actually. And like, yeah, you're right. It was my first I'd been in lead of films before, but none that were that big. That was my first like real lead in a picture, if we're honest about it.
yeah.
And yeah, it was fun, man. I mean, obviously it was a co-lead with her, but it was a great time, dude. And talk about improv. Like we ended up ripping improv half of that time. And the script was strong already, and it was funny, and they had good source material from the books. But dude, it was awesome. I just love that. Director's great. Dude, we just had a good time on that project, man. We really did. That was a fun one. So it's spicy, it's steamy, it's not for everybody, but
Right.
if it's for you, it's really for you. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But dude, I love it, man. And I'll be honest, romantic comedies, I love them. I'm a total cheeseball for them. Any of the classic, like, was it 2012 to 15, cheeseball McConaughey,
Oh
romantic,
my God. Yeah.
Kate
Oh,
Hudson as like, oh, dude,
How to
just
Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I
I
loved
would
that one.
give it to me. Yeah, yeah, even the bad ones, dude. Fool's Gold. I'm like, I'll watch it. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the
I'm
best.
I'm a huge John Cusack fan. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
So
Oh.
like, not to brag, Josh, but he's in my DMs. But
Love it, love it.
so like my dream is to interview him. You know what I mean? Like because I think like he brought a style to romantic comedy that not a lot of people did, with the sarcasm, dryness, and then the sweetness at the end.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I feel like a lot of romantic comedies are following that formula where
yeah, yeah.
the boy and the girl, they probably have maybe 10 to 15 minutes of screen time together if you
Right.
put all the movie together, and then they're just like flowing around with different stories. So I kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Totally, totally agree. Yeah, 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 absolutely, man.
So, all right, my last two questions for you is, if you could go into a time machine, Josh, and talk to a younger version of yourself, knowing everything you know now, it could be from yesterday or when you were a child, what would you tell yourself and why?
Man, yeah, good question. I feel like I have a multitude of answers to that. Um, I would say, well, it depends how young I went back. Let me pick here. I'd go back to when I'd go back to when I was like 17 or 18. And I would say, number one, don't rush it, you know, don't rush it. Life's gonna work out. Number two, probably would have I would have tried to do about 3 more years of boxing
Oh,
before
you're a boxer.
the industry. I won Golden Gloves when I was 18. I don't look at it anymore, but I was pretty good at it. And I think I could have done more with that as I was getting into the entertainment industry. Entertainment is my true love. The arts are my true love. So I don't know how that would have shaped out. But one of my only true regrets in life is I won Golden. I was the youngest guy in Virginia, actually, on the East Coast, to win that at 18.
Wow.
And had all the elements to be really good. And then I just fell in love with art and I just didn't really care anymore. So I would have gone back, I wouldn't have changed a thing in my artistic path, but I would have kept doing that for like 3 more years and see what the amateurs or the pros would have done. And I would have told myself, don't rush it. And I would have told myself, people over everything. Like you are truly, I think I was saying this to someone the other day, you are truly the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and like the folks you surround yourself with are everything. So
That is so true. And I feel people don't realize that because even though, you're Josh, you have your own spirit and stuff, and I'm Keith and stuff. There's 4 or 5 people that kind of made us, and whether it's with our parents or family or girlfriend and stuff, we all take their quirks, even if we don't mean to or not. You know what I mean? We combined them.
I agree, brother. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I'm so glad you said that and you didn't say, "Hey, Josh, this is Josh from 2024." If
Yeah.
Keith Reza says, "Hey, will you do my podcast?" Say no.
Don't go on it. Yeah.
Okay, so my last question, and this is just like a hacky question that all the shows ask, but I want to be respectful to you and your team. Where can the folks at home follow and support you at? Facebook, Twitter,
Thank you.
Instagram?
I appreciate it. Instagram is where I'm on the most. I try to keep
IG.
IG, baby. IG. Follow me on there. I'll follow you back. Just say you're from Keith's show. I'll follow you back.
Oh my God. Don't say that. Catherine and Stephanie are going to be like DMing you now.
Hey, I welcome it, brother. I welcome it. Send them over. I like to engage with people. So that's where to find me, man. And if you want to read Dust, pre-order it anywhere you read books. It'll be out in a couple of weeks.
Well, Josh, good luck with Dust, man. I really hope it becomes bigger than Game of Thrones because, you're my best friend for 45 minutes and you have a good heart. Yeah. So I want everything to go in your way and get your dreams and stuff.
Thank you, Keith. Ditto to you, my friend. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Josh. Well, come back anytime. You got my number, and have a great day, my man.
Love it, dude. You too. Take care, man.
All right, guys. That was the episode. Subscribe, rate, review. Buy Dust February 4th. Yeah, and it's on everywhere. It'll be in all the bookstores. Oh, Josh, before you go, you should do a book signings and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. February 4th, I'm doing one in Los Angeles at Zibby's.
Oh my God.
February 6th, I think I'm doing one in Los Angeles. February 11th and 12th in Nashville, and possibly one in New York. We will see.
Oh, I might go to the one on February 4th in Los Angeles. It's only
come down.
Only Uber away from me,
Come down, brother. It's gonna be a fun time. We might even have drinks afterwards. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, that would be great. I won't take my sisters. It'll just be me.
I love it, dude.
All right, buddy. Have a good day, guys. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Race of Riffs.